An interesting thing about sex trafficking, human trafficking, is that I believe that the whole trafficking situation is really a guise for genocide. Genocide of Americans on American soil. I think that these are operations that are happening all over the world. Even here within the United States, there are people who are disappearing on federal land, also known as our national park systems. People are disappearing. The federal government does not keep a tally on them. We discovered that fact. That was highlighted by the author of Missing 411, which highlights some very bizarre missing person cases that have taken place in our national park systems. We've also heard whispers of underground laboratories, government laboratories, and DARPA facilities in which people are taken to, and they are subjected to all kinds of horrific things, sanctioned again by our own government. There's talk of the homeless people that have gone missing over the last 2, 3, or 4 years have been victims to the same type of clandestine operations. Witnesses citing white vans showing up late at night. Witnesses also speaking about large trucks that have incinerators within them, or like mobile furnaces, mobile incinerators that are used to or have been used to destroy the bodies of the homeless people that were being abducted. Reports of missing homeless people have been a thing nationwide, from California to Salt Lake City to Florida to Maine, and these are all Americans. So here we are in America, on American soil, with Americans being disappeared. We also see a huge influx of foreigners, particularly Asians, Arabic, and Africans, pouring into the country and being handed opportunities that red-blooded Americans have never been afforded. Interest-free loans, Social Security upon arrival, Social Security benefits, that is, upon arrival, and various other things. A lot of these people come from parts of the world where violence and death is a normal thing. So coming to the United States and being hired on as a freelance mercenary or a freelance agent in the field to help out with these abductions is not far-fetched. There are whispers of that theory, that scenario. So some of these theories do seem realistic and do seem plausible, but what's most sad is that not enough people are talking about prevention with their young people. I don't hear people talking about self-defense. I don't hear people talking about situational awareness. Those are discussions that are being had by preppers, okay, martial artists and that sort of thing, but the everyday person is not focused on it. We keep seeing videos of missing people, or people who were almost abducted or found themselves in a sketchy situation and barely escaped with their lives. We're seeing these videos, we're seeing photos of people popping up on our feeds and social media who are missing, but nobody is talking about prevention or a counter offense when there are sketchy situations. People are just acting like there's nothing going on and everything is normal, but everything is not normal. What this looks like is, it looks like this is a war against American citizens on our own soil, in our face, and this is definitely something that was planned and engineered over decades, and it is now here. And folks are not in tune, they're not in touch with it, they don't know what they're looking at, and they don't care to. When you have events like the whole chicken sandwich craze and like just mind-numbing, stupid unimportant fucking things that we're being bombarded with in the media. You understand how these things are going on, and they're going on under the radar. People are being snatched in broad daylight. People are still like not exercising any caution when walking by vans, dark doorways and that sort of thing. I mean, there's just people are in their phones or not paying attention. There is definitely a rev up on these abductions. These people are not being seen again. Most of the time, these people are not being found alive. Once they're taken, they're taken. They're permanent abductees, and however they meet their final moments, it's likely not good. Most of these people are likely going to be drugged with heavy barbiturates or something to sedate them. They're taking people from not just all walks of life, but people who have different physical abilities. I've seen people or heard of people going missing that are over 6 foot, stocky build. I mean, they have the ability to subdue anybody. A lot of these abductors, too, are working in groups. Okay, it's a very organized operation from what I understand. There may be people on rooftops looking out, there may be people down the street in other vehicles. There's always more than one person, and a lot of times when these people are being taken, this is something that's planned. The subject who is being taken is likely somebody who had been watched maybe for weeks. So this is not some random thing. If people are being snatched randomly, it's probably some other operation in regards to human snatching or people snatching. There are whispers of it being a very lucrative thing to get involved with, helping to kidnap people. I guess there's a lot of money in it. These kidnappers are being described as anywhere from Black Americans, white Americans. I mean, across the spectrum, there's been a high incidence of sexual deviant behavior from foreigners, particularly from Asian countries and Arabic countries, with Lyft drivers and Uber drivers being those types of males. So, I mean, in today's day, I just don't understand. I think what it is people are so wrapped up in their day to day that they're not going to know what hits them until it hits them, and that's going to be sad. It's sad for children who can't defend themselves, who are being snatched. Their parents should know, should have a heightened sense of awareness and concern, considering all the information that's in the media about people who are missing, and it's just not happening. So my heart goes out to these children. We don't know what's happening to them. I mean, there's a good chance they're being tortured. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible thing. The other aspect of this is that this is not just about killing people or genociding people, as it is being, as people are saying. It's also, I'm suspecting, having a lot to do with cannibalism. There is a lot of undercover cannibalism in this country. People buying body parts is not a new thing. There have been stings in the past, a lot of which were in the 70s and the 80s, of people being busted selling body parts. And you have to ask yourself, who were the people that were cut up? You know, who were these people? Where did they come from? You know, so if there's an underground market for human flesh, and also human blood, there are people who drink, you know, human blood. There's a whole blanket of undercover Satanists in this country as well. It's not just Satanists who are drinking blood, but, you know, there are people that go to church Sunday through Friday, and then they worship Satan on Saturdays. And not all Satanists, you know, partake in that sort of thing. But the point is that there's a lot of darkness that's coming to the surface, and it's not just for organs. It's not just for Genocide is not just for sex trafficking, it's also for cannibalism, it's also for blood drinkers, it's also for pharmaceutical companies that want to bypass any type of ethical boundaries by using human subjects. There are also there's also been talk for decades of, people being placed on these private estates and being hunted as a sport by rich people. I've heard this happening to children being abducted from India and Africa and being put on these estates, and there being these hunts of children as if they're animals that take place. I've seen pictures of white soldiers or whatever he was an armed white male posing and smiling over a black child. It was not photoshopped. You can tell it was not photoshopped. It looked like a genuine photo. And if you search hard enough, you can probably find it. So there's a lot that's going on. People aren't nearly getting as involved or paying enough attention as they should be. It's not being talked about in the Black community. And this whole people snatching thing is a lot. There's a lot of layers to it because people are being taken for various different reasons. Hawaii, of all places, has a huge missing persons problem. But what a lot of people don't know is that there are many small chain private islands outside of Hawaii where people are likely being held, also or people are being taken to. Also, cruise ships. Cruise ships are a number one place for human traffickers because of maritime laws. Maritime laws, well, there really aren't any laws regarding maritime laws for missing persons and murder in international water. There's a lot that goes on there, some pretty interesting videos on YouTube. I'll try to put them in my playlist. But there's a lot of theories about why this is happening, who's involved. We know it's a multi-billion-dollar, maybe $1 trillion industry. This didn't start overnight, and it's got to have some pretty big players for it to be this functional. We don't really hear of any raids or any arrests or anything. I've seen videos of people saying that they've called the police when witnessing an abduction or even pursuing a vehicle of someone who was just abducted, and getting very little to no or delayed response from police, which makes me question a lot. So understand the times that we're living in. Understand that it may be your teacher or your family practice physician who is involved. These are people. Your family practice doctor would know your blood type. That's something that people who traffic organs would need to know. There are people who are very intimately involved in your life who may not be what they seem. The girl Kanika Jenkins was hanging out with someone who sold her to a trafficker, pretty much. She was found without her organs. Her friend was also abducted, murdered, and had her organs stolen. And they were likely hanging out with the people who were involved in this. And there were people that looked like them. Other black people are involved with this. So understand, we live in a time where you just don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know who to trust, but you have to have self-defense in mind and move with common sense. Stay out of your phone and take this threat very seriously because this is a war we are in.